quality control is imperative, right? If you're a service provider, even if you're an internal finance team at a fund manager, or if you're a service provider, that quality control on your product is critical, right? If you're sending out investor statements, whether you're internal team or you're a service provider, that's the bread and butter of this alternative business, right? Is raising capital and having investors come back into future investments. So they want good service. Obviously, they want good investment returns, but they want a good overall service. And it's a reflection on that fund manager, how those operations work. So quality control is critical. OpsCheck gives you a tool to increase your quality control to another level. It gives you the ability to create individual tasks, like Frank said earlier, or you create a workflow, which is a series of tasks. It's a whole workflow process, whether you're sending out financial statements, investor statements, calling capital, or distributing proceeds back to investors. You have a process. You can have makers and checkers at various levels of the process in OpsCheck, and you could track who does what's been going out on time, what's late, what's open. If it's late, you can collaborate with team members in OpsCheck of why it's late, and you have that dialogue. And then you can follow back up with that, whether you're going up to senior management at the fund manager, or if you're a service provider and you're meeting with your customer, you have these key KPIs. You know what you delivered, what went out on time. If it didn't go out on time, you have detailed explanations without digging through Excel logs, email chains, calling people, what happened here? Why was this late? You as a manager or a senior manager have that at your fingertips on a daily basis. So that's what's really critical of implementing a proper workflow tool. And I want the audience to know, OpsCheck, we're agnostic to your other technology stacks, right? Whether your portfolio accounting system is Investran, Allview, eFront, LemonEdge, Dynamo, it doesn't matter, Paxos, Geneva. We're not here to disrupt your technology stack on that. CRM systems, whether you're using Salesforce or Goji or InvestorFlow for investor onboarding, you can use all of that. We complement, we sit on top of that, and we help you from a high level view everything that's going on, no matter what system you're using. And the other thing I want to touch on, Chris, is, and I think you mentioned it earlier in the discussion, is yes, our industry is going through challenges right now, just in accounting in general. It doesn't matter if you're a CPA firm, corporate accounting, if you're in alternative investment and operations accounting, there's just a shortage of accountants, especially in the US. A lot of teams are becoming global with offshore work, and we collaborate with people around the world. We could be collaborating with people in the same office, across the country, around the world. OpsCheck lets you collaborate no matter where your location is. We can create departments in OpsCheck. You can assign things through OpsCheck with various departments, and you collaborate as if you're one team, or you are one team, and it lets you see that and execute in OpsCheck. So I think that's critical. Another thing is training, right? We have there's turnover or promotions, or people doing this or doing that, or taking on more responsibility. So you constantly have new people doing tasks. So OpsCheck lets you take your business process, and again, we're not trying to change your business processes. We're here to understand how you operate around whatever technology stack you have, right? We're not here to disrupt that. We're here to say, hey, learn that, whatever you're doing, we'll learn it, and we'll help you put that process in OpsCheck and track it. And then what you can do with OpsCheck is reinforce constant training. Think about it. If you have a workflow and you're running a financial statement process out of that, your tech stack, and maybe some clients are on a hedge fund portfolio software, and some are on a private equity software, and the accountant that you just hired a few months ago comes in and starts running a process and says, oh, I don't know how to run this one on this software. Within OpsCheck, you can reinforce and embed training videos, processes, manuals, so you can reinforce that training within OpsCheck without having to leave the system. So OpsCheck is a changing culture for teams. They have to open it every day to be super successful. And it's a tool that's used proactively. Every other tool that I've seen demos of, or we've used, or manual processes, or homebrew systems or solutions, are all reactive. And when you have reactive systems, it's kind of garbage in, garbage out. You're not getting accurate data, right? It's not real time. It's not accurate. So OpsCheck, when used properly, is a powerful tool. It's simple. It's simple to use. it could look complex at first, but it's really not. It's very simple to use. I think we had one of our clients say it's, Frank, what's that saying our one client says?
Sophisticated but not complicated.
It's sophisticated but not complicated. So I really echo that as becoming an expert in OpsCheck over the last few months. And some of the downstream benefits, I'll end on this, Chris, are just tremendous. Once your data is in there, and not for a part of your finance team, but if it starts, your entire finance team is using OpsCheck, all your deliverables are in there, the downstream benefits become really powerful. I mentioned quality control is there, the reinforced training is there, compliance. Chris, you mentioned this earlier, compliance. In our world, in the alternative investment world, we do a SOC report, which is a third-party audit firm comes in, reviews your policies, your processes, your procedures, and tests that on actual deliverables, right? So it's an intense process, and OpsCheck tracks everything in one system. You can work with your auditor to give them population reports, and then when they make selections, you have detailed support checklists backing that up. You have proof of your client sign off on approvals for things. You have proof that you had a maker and a checker on key tasks, and it's all organized in one system. It will save teams hundreds, if not thousands of hours a year on their SOC process alone, OpsCheck. So I'm a big fan of supporting those compliance deliverables at the end of the day. And again, we're totally agnostic. Doesn't matter what portfolio accounting system you're using. OpsCheck is going to overlay that and simplify your tracking and organization of all your deliverables and all your processes. So that's a big thing. Time tracking. A lot of accounting firms, maybe not internal fund manager firms, but surely service providers, whether they're consultants, fund administrators, audit firms, they track time, because at the end of the day, they need to track how much time do I spend with my clients on what key deliverables. And they use that for internal analysis on profitability. They use that to figure out proper billing, market rates, et cetera. OpsCheck lets you track time at the task level in real time. And we can either then give you reporting on time for deliverables and key categories out of OpsCheck, or we can feed a time tracking system. We don't need you to replace your whole time tracking system if you have one in place. We'll just feed it real accurate data by client, by entity, by deliverable, and who has done what. That's powerful data for a service organization. So that's another huge compliment for that. And then one last downstream benefit that I like to mention is the KPIs. If you are a service provider, you have client meetings, you have your client check-in meeting, you go to that meeting, you say, last quarter, I did 8 capital calls for you. We did 2 investor distributions. We did 5 NAV reports. We sent out 5 sets of investor statements. And we know exactly what we did on one screen, KPIs. We know what went out on time. We know if something went out late, and then we have documentation and collaboration notes of why it went out late. Again, powerful information. It's all about client relationships. Service providers in this business build their business and have success with organic revenue that they get from current fund managers and references from fund managers to new managers entering the market. So those KPIs and that quality control is invaluable.